Former President Donald Trump is dealing with more legal troubles while he is on the campaign trail.
His lawyer entered a not guilty plea on his behalf today in response to the new indictment stemming from his federal election interference case out of Washington, D.C. The former president wasn't physically there as he waived his right to appear. CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane is following this case and many more for us from Washington. Scott, what are your kind of top takeaways from today's hearing?
There are a few fundamental pieces of news we can dispose of quickly here. Donald Trump has formally pleaded not guilty to these new 4 felony counts in the superseding indictment. That was expected. It happened. The judge in this case made quite clear it is way too presumptuous and a fool's errand to try to set a trial date right now with so many legal balls still in the air in this case and with Trump's team certain to try to get this case kicked altogether. So that's been put aside. But there's one particularly compelling issue they're going to have to deal with over the coming days and weeks. The special counsel wants to file a briefing with the court, arguing why the case should proceed despite the Supreme Court's immunity ruling on July 1st. That filing could have some revelations about this case, show more of Jack Smith's hand. What does he have in his legal holster he thinks arms him legally to do battle with Donald Trump? Quite something to see that filing if it gets into the courthouse and then into the public space for everybody to read. Trump's lawyers don't want that to happen. They say it'd be an unfair way of handling Donald Trump, who's trying to get the case dismissed, that having this type of briefing at this moment in time, what they call this sensitive moment in time mid the election, wouldn't be fair. But Errol, Lana, the judge in this case, Tanya Chutkan of D.C., said she is not going to consider the election. It will not be a factor for her when she handles this case, that it's folly to think about an election when you're handling a criminal matter. So she will decide in the coming days or weeks whether to allow that filing to happen for the court to see and ultimately for the world to see what else Jack Smith wants to say about Donald Trump.
Well, and Scott, you mentioned there is a lot going on at this particular moment in time because the Justice Department also announced indictments against Russia over the past couple of days. What can you tell us about that?
And this is quite something also. The Department of Justice is alleging that Russian state actors, officials in Russia, used their state-owned media company to covertly fund a Tennessee-based company to have their social media influencers push out news that is favorable to Russia. Propaganda, misinformation. What's more, the Department of Justice has seized nearly 3 dozen internet domains that they say were also perpetuating misinformation. And what's really striking about the court filings as we review them today, the Department of Justice alleges the Kremlin had a playbook of what they wanted to put out there into the bloodstream of American politics and American voters, a playbook of wedge issues which align with what this charging document indicates is Russia's favorite candidate, Donald Trump. Issues like immigration, inflation, crimes by migrants, the impact of joblessness among low-income white populations. These are issues right out of the political and campaign playbook of Donald Trump. And according to the Department of Justice, Russia's trying to push on that sore spot in American politics.
And it's fascinating, Scott. Some of those right-wing commentators include people like Tim Pool, who have millions of followers and subscribers. They say they were duped, but certainly a lot of people listening to what they say. We appreciate the update on both cases. Thanks, Scott.